I've got a live stream. It like just started right now. You're on the live stream.
Have fun. Talk to you later.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
I tell my mom I'm live streaming. I called her earlier. I'm like, or texted her earlier. Like, she calls me when she goes on her daily walks. I told her, call me early because it's live stream day. So we talked. We already had our conversation. And right now she just called. Like she's already forgotten it's live stream day from like an hour before. I have the best mom. You guys should all be jealous. So anyway, I believe we're live. It looks like, actually, let's double check that I've got some audio. Yeah, I think we're here. Good news. Super excited. They, wireless mic, well, part one, there's two parts I need for the wireless mic, but I can at least get away with the first part that's coming. It finally came in stock. I've been waiting for 2 weeks, which for me is that's like years because I'm very impatient. So I'm really, really excited. And before I get started, because I inevitably will have, every time I forget to make this announcement, I will have a Karen complain, not an actual Karen, complain that I talk too much and that I'm annoying and that this would go, I'd get more artwork done if I didn't talk. It's an art chat. Stop and look at the Karen, look at where it says art chat. That means I'm going to talk a lot. So I just want to throw that out there. If that is not something that you enjoy, Patreon is probably going to be a better place for you if you're looking for just straight the lesson, me not rambling and chatting about my mom being better than everyone else's mom. So, there you go. I just want to throw that out. Like I said, it's always, every time I forget, and I forgot on Wednesday, I will get somebody who's just kind of complainy, Karen-y. So there we go. Although the people who I would call Karen probably wouldn't even know what that was referenced to, so I don't know how useful that is, but there it is. And it's never the people who watch live. It's always after the fact. Anyway, so there's no one to tell, but well, you guys actually commented on the last one. Moving on. Today, I am working in colored pencil. It's an old piece I cut. I'm like 99% certain this is Fabriano Artistico extra white hot press watercolor paper. Like 99.2%, we'll say that. It was already pre-cut and it was a size I needed, so I'm like, yeah, that'll work. I'm working with Polychromos, Derwent Lightfast, and Luminance colored pencils. I'm not sure which ones I'll grab for first, and I will be doing my white highlights, and this is important if you are following along. I am going to be doing my whitest bright highlights with Touch Up Texture Titanium White Mixture from brushandpencil.com, which means I do not have to protect the white of my paper like you do. So, or, if you don't have that product. The white highlights, if you do not have that product, you're going to want to leave the white of your paper showing through. So just be aware of that if you're following along. You don't want to fill that in and expect a white colored pencil to get it bright white again. Try to protect your paper. And what I would do if I didn't have that product, I would start by taking my white colored pencil and burnishing, meaning pushing pretty hard on the areas where I want to stay really, really white. That's going to help protect the white of the paper, like keep it as white as possible. So I would probably do that first and then work around it and try to keep it as white as possible. For me, because I do have the Touch Up Texture Titanium White Mixture, not a problem for me. I can get that on very easily. And I do have a few people regularly ask, can I just use gel pens? On top of colored pencil, no, it's not going to be archival. The only product that is archival, so no acrylic paint, no gel pen, no ink. The only product that's going to be truly archival on colored pencil for, it's going to last 100 years, is going to be the Touch Up Texture Titanium White Mixture. It's the only product out there that's made specifically to go on top of colored pencil like this. So there we go. Let's see, get caught up in a couple questions here. Oh, I missed a bunch. Look what happens when I ramble. Here we go. We've got Angel said, is it necessary to put matte medium on acrylic painting before laying down gloss varnish? What brand can you suggest? I only have been doing it lately. I used to do it on everything. And I found that if I go too heavy, I started having issues where the gloss varnish wasn't sticking all the way. And it was fine as long as I kept it with a very light coat, which is what I had suggested in the video that I'm assuming you watched. Necessary, no, but if you've got like a white, like in this case, I've got tons of white. If you have a painting where you have a bunch of white of the canvas showing and you varnish the Liquitex gloss varnish, I just have an issue with it'll like slightly streak some of the paint, and on a white background it's noticeable. If it's anything else, like you can't see, there's a tiger on my wall, dark background, fireflies, if anything minorly streaks, no one would know. I'm not going to spray that first. I will just go right over that with varnish. So it depends on what it is, whether or not I do. But the stuff with really light backgrounds, I will either do the matte spray varnish first, and just a light coat is all you need. I can't stress that part enough. Or you can just do the whole thing in a straight spray varnish if you wanted. But necessary, it kind of depends on the situation. The brand that I usually use is Krylon. It's not like the highest, I guess, like best in the world, but it works. It's just what it was available and what I've been using. And then Liquitex gloss varnish over that. Irritated Paintbrush said, "Hi Lisa, it's always fun to watch your live streams." Thank you. Heather said, "We are good about stopping the Karens here." Yeah, see? But then you guys actually go and live your real lives and they comment after the live stream when you're not here to fix them up. Yeah, so I figure I need to try and remember to make that announcement before I start the video so they can just not, I won't waste their time. I had one woman go off. She was mad at me for wasting her time with my free video. Yeah. So Jason said, "Lisa, my mom is better than yours." Not possible. Absolutely not possible. Casey said, "Imagine if you referred them to Patreon and there actually were videos of you rambling, but said it was not." Oh, thank God there's not though. Hey, Chris is here. Hi, Chris. You guys, by the way, should check out Chris Dunlop here. Little red icon. You should click on that. Subscribe to his channel. He actually had a really cool vlog that gave me ideas, because I know you guys have asked me to do like daily vlog type things or follow me around for a day videos. He gave me some really good ideas for his. He had one recently. It was good. You should check it out. Irritated Paintbrush said, "I think a lot of us enjoy live chat. Don't care about those Karens." Sergio said, "Hi Lisa, I've had this question for 2 years and always forgot to ask it. How would you tackle lace and see-through type fabrics with colored pencil?" The exact same way as anything else, a very sharp pencil and a lot of time, and working larger is easier. When you get a lot of detail, actually, I've got, well, you guys can't see it, but I'm pointing at it. I'm starting an oil painting portrait, and that one, her hair is the thing that's so detailed. I keep doing these little pieces and I can't get the detail I want. Go big. If you have a lot of tiny detail, and lace would be one of those cases, I would suggest going larger and using a tiny, sharp pencil, and take your time. Just super slow and focus on one little square inch at a time before you move on. But there's no like magic, here's the trick to do a faux finish type look on it. No, you just have to take your time, and working big is going to make it easier for you. Joanna said, "In polychromos, what is Caput Mortem like?" I mean, I find it to be generally polite. He's a little snarky sometimes. I'm really not sure what you're asking. What do you mean? What is it? I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry. Richard said, 3 minutes in and I've already learned something new. Burnishing with white first. Genius. See, I'm giving you guys time to burnish your white, and that's mostly going to be on your highlight here. It will make it so much easier. And normally you guys hear me say with colored pencil, don't burnish too soon because it makes it so you can't get layers on top. That's what you want when you want to keep the white. You don't want a bunch of layers on top. So yeah, it'll get that pencil really sharp though. Let's see. Oh, that just jumped. Where were we? Lucia's Art World said, "Hi Lisa, I found an old drawing of a strawberry I never finished. Perfect time to try to draw one again, applying the tips you give. Yay." Casey said, "I just got my first postcard from July. Love it." God, I was really late. I'm going to seriously try not to be so late now. "I'm determined to cover one of my walls with them. Should only take 3 to 4 years." There are a few people who've been around from the beginning and they have all the postcards and have posted photos, and it's like a whole wall. It's really cool. Let's see. We're just going to give everyone a chance to get here and we'll get started, get caught up on the questions. Angel said, "How do I avoid bristles from falling off? Any hack? It frustrates me. Some stick with the paint." Well, it depends on the brush you're using. Certain brushes are going to be more likely to shed. Like, for example, I use the mop. I call them mop brushes. They're not mop brushes. Actual mop brushes for acrylic painting, they shed like crazy. So I use blush brushes. These ones, for whatever reason, they don't shed and they're cheaper and work better. So like this one is a Real Techniques. You can get them at Ulta Beauty, or sometimes they're available on Amazon. Sometimes they're sold out. But sometimes that will work. Sometimes it's an issue of the cheap brush. And even then, I still use the cheap brush half the time. But I would recommend while you're working, you want to constantly be looking. If you're using a brush and you know it's shedding, be there picking that out before it dries, because that does not look good. But it may just be the quality of the brushes. But I've had brushes that were fairly expensive for me, which is not that expensive. I don't buy expensive brushes, but even I've talked to other people that say they shed too. So, picking paint out of your, or brushes out of your canvas is just sometimes part of the thing. But like the main brush that I had issues with shedding has always been the mop brushes. And I just switched to blush brushes, makeup brushes, problem solved. Leisha said, hi Lisa, love your videos, lives and Patreon videos. Getting ready to start painting a wolf in acrylics and learned a lot from your wolf video. Yay, nice. George said, thanks, I'll also try the white on white to protect the white spots. I'll be listening while working on my first dog portrait, a gift from my sister. That's awesome. Let's see. Lisa, do you have a video on how to go about making prints of your artwork? I don't, but I use Fine Art America. They've had some issues lately, not as far as I know with the print quality, just the user end, like me being able to log in and upload new prints has been an issue, but I'm still getting paid whenever somebody buys something, and I know no one's complained to me that they haven't gotten anything. So normally that's what I recommend, or I shouldn't even say recommend, that's just what I do, because I don't have time to make prints and then sell them. So doing a drop ship, a print on demand type site was just a very effective solution for me. But I also don't get to see a print. Like if there's a problem, you would deal directly. Let's say you bought one from me, from Fine Art America, and it came messed up. And which is a benefit for me. I don't have time to deal with that. You would contact Fine Art America and they would replace it. So for me, that was just, it was just an easier way to go, because I do not have time to run actual making prints and G-Clays myself. So the other one, G-Clay Today, is another website that I really, really have been happy with the quality on. I swear those prints look better than my originals do. They're so good. And that one, I don't have a video on it, but that I really have been very happy with. And so like when I do aqua shell and I bring prints with me, they're from G-Clay Today. Casey said, I did what you said with the coffee, wasn't ready to do it in just one step, so I tried 4. My reaction to the first sip was, why is it spicy? You didn't know what real coffee tasted like, did you? If you're unaware, Casey was complaining that their coffee was like 1,000 calories because I've been doing the whole lower calorie cutting back, and had asked me about my coffee. And I was saying I measure 1 tablespoon, like the actual 1 serving, so it's only 35 calories, but it's weird to get used to when you're used to just dumping in like a ton of sugary sweetness amazingness. So it takes some getting used to. That's funny. Angel said, off topic, but why is there like a Save USPS petition? Am I missing something? USPS has been losing money horribly for years. It's not been a good business. So I knew a friend who worked with that, and this is what they told me, is that years ago, I'll go ahead and start sharpening pencils while we chat. Years ago, they knew when, like eBay and all of that with packages, they could have set it up to where they'd make a lot of money shipping packages, but they didn't want to. And again, this is not my firsthand knowledge. This is from a friend who worked in the business, and this is what they told me. They were advised by many people to set it up so that they could handle the packaging, that would make up the difference they were losing, because people don't send letters anymore. We have email. So USPS didn't want to do that. And it seems like, from what I understand, that was like nail one in the coffin. It was just a bad choice. And they do ship packages now, and they've changed that, but it set them back quite a bit from my understanding. And they've just made very bad business practices. And from the user end, the problem, hold on, where are my sharpeners? Here, there. From the user end, for me, I kind of hate using USPS. The prices are better usually for shipping things, but if there's a problem, trying to get somebody that you can deal with is a nightmare, because it's the government. They don't care when you complain. So that's kind of been an issue that I think has been bad. And I'm not one. The last time I talked about it, I was having problems with the USPS, somebody like jumped all over me on how the conservatives are doing this and then this is doing this, and I'm just like, I was just making a generalized comment on what I've experienced. I don't know why some people want to turn everything into politics. Just stop. But and if you're watching after the fact, don't bother. I will delete the comment. This is not a political issue or, channel. But anyway, so yeah, that was kind of it just has gone downhill. They've made poor choices, and they depended so much on the letter side of things, and that isn't an issue now. And so it's been a bad setup, and I don't know why now it's been full of not good. I don't know why. It seems like all of a sudden, I know with COVID got in the way of stuff, but it's like all of a sudden over the last few months, it's gone downhill even more. And I don't know why now. I'm very curious as to the reasons why it's even worse than it already was. That I don't know. So I don't know how much that helps, but yeah, the USPS is having issues, and people are turning it into more of a political thing, saying this group doesn't want this and this group wants this. I don't know. All I know is it's been a failing business for a very long time. I'm not saying I want it to go out of business or go under. I mean, it's useful, but that is because people turned it into politics, I guess, is largely why people are getting more involved than they previously were. I don't know, maybe if they got involved earlier, it wouldn't be as bad as it is now. I don't know. But obviously, as you can tell, I'm not that educated on the subject. I'm speculating. I don't know. I can talk about what I've personally experienced and why I suspect they weren't doing well, but it's not a subject I've heavily researched to where I can say this is for certain what's happening. It's just, there you go. Let's see. Sergi said, so in my experience with Fabriano Artistico so far, I took her out, paid for her dinner. She drank 2 bottles of wine, by the way, and I still couldn't get that paper to work for me. Oh, someone's going to be so offended by that as much as I'm laughing at it. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, Fabriano was better, but the company who makes it started like printing money or something for something. And they said that the paper was the same, that it didn't change. But those of us who use it know that's absolutely not true. It did change. And I will tell you which pencils I'm going to be using. I'm mostly sharpening my polychromos because this is kind of small and we want to get the fine details and be sharpened to a super fine point. I'll tell you the exact colors I'm using, which you don't need to use the exact colors for. You just need to pay attention to, are your lights light enough, dark enough? Your values are what matter. So, okay, colors I'm using. I have, and these are in the polychromos, red violet. I have dark red, cadmium orange, dark chrome yellow, deep scarlet red, and magenta. So those are my pencils I've so far pulled out. Again, you do not need the exact colors. If you look at an area and you're like, oh, that's kind of orange, use orange. Now, here's a thing that you may not be aware of. When you look at something where you're drawing something with red, you're not going to use white as your general highlight. I mean, okay, let's back this up. This one has white as highlights, but don't think just because I need to lighten an area, white is always the answer, because you're going to end up with a lot of pink, which you don't necessarily always want. So a lot of the time when you have a lighter area, it's yellows and oranges when you're working with red. So that's going to be true if I'm doing a red rose. I'm going to use a lot of yellows and oranges in that for those brighter areas, and it gives it this beautiful glow. I really like it. Let's see. I finally put my Derwent Lightfast pencils in its own little container, so they're easier to get to now. I think I'm going to pull out the cherry red too. That looks like a nice color, and that's in the Derwent Lightfast. Okay, so I'm not even going to worry about the green yet. Decisions. Now I'm going to come back to the green. I'm just going to start with the red. And I'm going to start blocking in, for me, my darker area. So I've got this dark area here, and this is going to help me to better judge my values as I move forward. I don't like to start with my lightest areas because I have a tendency to not go dark enough. If I can block in the areas that I know are super dark, it makes it easier for me to judge the values of everything else. And if you're off a bit, if you're like, wow, there I missed a seed pod completely, doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Coffee. Okay, so I'm just going to start in light, and I'm not pushing very hard. This one is my red violet. And that pencil needs to be really sharp. And the reason that I'm not pushing very hard here is if I do, I'm not going to be able to get additional layers on top. It limits how many layers I can get. Helen said, are you going to be blending with pencils or with OMS? With the OMS. Remember, I do not have to leave my brightest whites because I'm going to be going over with Touch Up Texture Titanium White. But if you do not have that product, don't fill in where it needs to be really light. Leave the white paper or fill it with white pencil. I get to be pretty sloppy because of that product. That product made such a difference in my work. Like, it just makes everything so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the deep scarlet red. Oh, that's a nice color for this. But again, your colors aren't that big of a deal. And I'm going over areas that are going to be white, so watch yours. Watch your reference photos. If you don't have this reference photo, you can download it. It came from Pixabay. You can download it over at patreon.com/Lachri. You don't have to be a member to get it. You just have to go download it. We've got this really light area. Yeah, I'll stick to the center area is going to be kind of orangey. So I'm going to put that in. I'll put the red on top, but let's go ahead and block that in now. So this is my, what is it? The dark cadmium. Angel said, I think I'm going to miss trick-or-treating and cosplaying since Halloween is near. How about you? Do you have any canceled events or conventions? We're supposed to have Aquashella on Halloween weekend, which is seems like a bad weekend to do that anyway. We'll see if that one happens or not. They're still planning on it. I mean, we'll see. It seems, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I would kind of prefer that to get pushed back myself, but that's just me. I'm afraid not that many people will attend or be able to attend. Like, it just seems like, not because people would come from out of state normally for those, and it's like, yeah, probably not this year. But normally, I'm really boring. Like, I do not do much. Actually, when I was watching Chris Dunlop's, I apologize, by the way, Chris, if I'm continuously saying your name wrong. I know the Chris part. I mispronounce all the things. But anyway, I was watching his video, and it was really cool. And I'm like, my video would be so boring because I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. Like, I go to the fish store and get salt water so I can do a water change on my fish tank. Like, that's about the extent of what I do. Or, I go to Callaway's and get new plants for the yard. This is my favorite nursery. They have a lifetime guarantee on plants. That's a big deal for me. So like I'm really boring. So like the COVID thing the only thing it really affected me where it was fairly annoying is my parents haven't seen my house yet. Like they haven't been able to come visit since we moved. So they're going to drive out this year. Hopefully at the end of September. So I will have a week that I'll probably be taking off from live streaming. I'll let you guys know whenever that happens, but it's supposed to be that last week in September. So we will see if that happens. I don't want to like go and cancel anything just yet for that because who knows if that's even going to happen with how everything is. But yeah, I'm horribly boring and don't do or go anywhere. Don't do anywhere? That doesn't make any sense. I don't do anything or go anywhere. Grammar. So I'm just building up, mapping this out so I don't lose my place. Nothing has to be pretty or perfect or anything here. It's pretty hard to screw this up at this point, unless you need to keep the white of your paper clean. You could screw that up. Let's see, Molly's Fine Art said, hi Lisa, thanks for the Giclée Today suggestion. They look pretty good. Question, does Derwent Lightfast have some good grays and browns? Yeah, they have they've got some nice, I've got it right in front of me, some really nice grays. They're browns. Where are the browns? That's a lot of browns. Yes, they do. I actually have both my 30, 36 set or 30, however many were in the first set, and my 72 set are in that same thing. So it looks like more than there really are, but there are a lot of really nice neutral tones. that this is a layering process, a lot of layers. One of the things you want to watch, and this is going to be true whether it be acrylics or oils or anything, everything I do is a layering process. This is not paint by number where it's going to look good from the beginning. So don't be discouraged or frustrated if your work, you're like, this is not what I wanted it to look like. That you're going to build until it does look how you want. Just as a reminder, make sure to do the Lachri fine art. If it doesn't highlight my name in orange, I just don't see your question. Let's see. It's 12 a.m. here in India, but my sleep can wait to watch this awesome tutorial. Thank you, Lisa. You are up late. Peter said, have you ever mounted a canvas on masonite and would you recommend it? I have not done that, so I can't give you any advice on that one. Annette said, hi Lisa, sorry I missed some, I think. What paper are you using? This is the, I'm almost positive because it was already pre-cut. I grabbed it from the shelf. Pretty sure this is the Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140 pound watercolor paper. Chris said, in fairness, running a business is incredibly boring to watch. So much had to be cut so people don't die from boredom, hopefully. Yeah, it's funny. You'll record all day. Like if I was thinking if I recorded my day, I would record all day and have like 5 minutes of remotely interesting things. And that would essentially be like the dog zooming around in the yard or chicken or something. Like it wouldn't even be me. Phyllis said, which red is the best pinks and has the best pinks and purples? Ooh. Purples, I'm going to say Derwent Lightfast. They have a couple. It's not that they have a ton of purples, but they have like some of my favorites. Pinks, I'm going to say Polychromos. They tend to be a little bit more rich in color than Luminance. But I mean, they all have a variety of different pinks and purples. But my favorite purple comes from Derwent Lightfast or purples, and my favorite pinks I would say are from Polychromos. Construction behind me is getting closer. I didn't used to really hear it that much during the day. Like the houses are, I can't wait till all the construction in this area is done. It'll be so nice and quiet. Not sure if that picks up on the mic or not. So just like anything that you do, you're just looking at the reference photo and copying what you see there. Zara said, you mentioned being able to make your oil and acrylic paintings look identical if you wanted. So how do you pick which medium to work in? Certain things, while I can make the end result look the same, certain things are just easier to do in acrylic or easier to do in oil. So like I've got an oil painting portrait I'm going to do. I like oils for portraits because it dries so slow, it gives me time to blend. Can I make it look the same in acrylics? Yes. It's just harder. So it's easier for me to do portraits. I definitely prefer portraits in oils. Whereas if, let's say I have a ton of tiny detail, like if I'm doing an underwater scene, a surreal underwater scene or anything surreal, I almost always prefer acrylics there because they dry very quickly. So I can, when I do surreal stuff, I change my mind I'll do something I'm like, oh, that was a bad idea. Let's try something else. I can cover it and go over it very, very quickly, which is more difficult to do with oils that stay wet for longer. So it just depends on like lots of tiny detail. I typically will lean towards acrylics, or if I'm on a budget time-wise, acrylics I can get done a lot faster. But like I said, portraits or anything where I have that if I do, well, I could airbrush it though with acrylics, but the blurry background or the soft skin tones, I just find it to be much easier to get smooth blending for skin with oils than I do with acrylics. It can be done with either. It can look exactly the same. It just, those are usually what will make me change my mind from one to the next. Angel said, magentas are indeed good for deep shadows because I have tested Mars Black as shadows and it looks desaturated. Yeah, the black is going to be really, it'll be too dark. And especially when you're doing, if you're working on reds too, don't always jump to black. Now, I'm not somebody you have artists who are like, never use black, it looks flat. No, I like black. I use black paint all the time. The thing is, I rarely leave it straight black. I almost always mix another color in with it or put another color over it, glaze a color so that you get that depth. I'm not opposed to using black, but there are certain times that it's not going to usually be the best choice. Red. If you're shading red, I will almost never use black to shade red. Purples, magentas, anything but black is usually a better choice. There are always exceptions to everything. Unfortunately, as much as I like to have a rule for things and go, always use this color, always do this in this situation, with art, it just doesn't work that way. There are always exceptions. But that was weirdly hard to say. So yeah, normally though, I like in the case with red, that circle doesn't go there. I'm just putting polka dots. I need to pay attention to what the heck I'm doing. Normally I'm going to avoid black for my shadows on reds. Reds, oranges, yellows, black is not your shadow color. Purples and magentas are normally what my go-to in those cases. Normally. So these, I'm going to go over it with the darks, but I can kind of map out where these are going to go. Yeah, it always made me laugh with the whole boring thing with art, because when people first started asking me for longer tutorials with Patreon and stuff, I'm like, I can't imagine someone sitting there and watching like the real time 15 hours on a painting that's real time, because I've had people request that. I'm like, it's way more like, trust me, you learn more when it's sped up a little bit. The actual real time of all of that gets really, really repetitive and tedious. Yeah, Chris, link your stuff. Link away. Well, I normally would be like, please don't sit and tell people to sit and spam. I'm the one telling people to follow you. So link all your stuff, Chris. It always gets weird. I actually had someone I had to finally block. Not from live streams, they were going through all of my, and this is tacky guys. So not Chris. Chris I'm encouraging to share because I follow him, so you guys should follow him too. But I had one person that recently, I guess, started a YouTube video and decided the way that they were going to get followers was to go to my videos and other artists' videos and spam every comment. I mean, I must have removed 15 comments at the period of an hour. I just blocked the person. I'm like, yeah, we're done with you now. Don't think like they're sharing your work when it's valuable, like what Chris is doing, and then they're spamming the crap out of people. This is not how you, and you guys I'm sure know this because you've heard me talk about that before. It was like, it's crazy to me some of the ideas people get that think are going to get them followers. Sarah said, I struggle to balance video making with painting. Some days I'll spend almost all day editing a video and only manage to squeeze in 10 or 20 minutes of painting at the end of the day. Hey, that 10 or 20 minutes is more than I get some days. I totally get it. Paul said, I have chatted with an art manager and they actually consider the light fastness of materials used and it's a big deal. Wow. They have equipment like UV light to test it. That's awesome. Good. That's how they should be. Because it sucks when somebody buys a product and it fades in a few years, or buys a painting. That is not going to make the customer very happy. Okay, now that this is mapped out, I think what I'm going to do is just start going ahead and working on tinier details. So I'm going to come back up to the top where I was and just pick one spot and focus on it. So I'm going to switch over. That is that red violet. I think actually you could put Mortem, my polite but sometimes snarky pencil from earlier, would be a good choice for some of this. I'm pushing a little bit harder on some of this where I know it's going to be darker and I want that crisp edge right around those leaves. Pamela said, is finished colored pencil artwork considered a drawing or a painting? Colored pencil art sometimes doesn't get the respect and call it a drawing to make it seem lesser than oil or acrylic. I call them paintings, but you can call them either way. Like if I tag it on Instagram, I tag both. I've heard people call it both. You can really go either way on that. Either is fine. I mean, it doesn't change what it is with the finished pieces. Sergio said, when is the good boy Wade getting his own portrait? I need to do it soon. I'm considering doing it. Well, I kind of want to do his in oil, so I have a matching one of each of the boys, but I also really want to do it in colored pencil. So I don't know. I haven't decided. I should do it. I should maybe just do one of each. Paul said, I know, because I thought it's just like a buzzword in art. Most people actually consider it highly. I'm kind of surprised. It's pretty important. I mean, one of the greatest examples, somebody shared a painting that I think it was in our Facebook group, they had purchased 20, 30 years ago, and they saved a long time to buy this original piece of art, and it's completely faded. All the pinks and purples are completely not what they paid for. I mean, when people buy art, they think of it as something that's going to last, like they can pass it down from generation to generation, especially if they paid a lot for it. And when you're not using light fast materials, that's an issue. I mean, if you're just making prints, it's fine. That's not an issue there. But for the original, definitely something to be aware of. I'm going to layer. Notice how I layer a lot of these colors. So I'm back to this one is deep scarlet red, right over those deeper purples I was using. Actually, just for time's sake, I think I'm going to switch up my method on this. Okay, so I've mapped this out. I'm going to be a little bit looser so that I can blend with OMS and then come on top with details. Otherwise, the techniques I'm using right now, this is going to take us forever. So I'm going to show you another one. What I just did was not a waste at all, but I'm going to rush through a little bit because, like I said, I don't have to go outside of my white areas because I can come on top of that with the Touch Up Texture Titanium White. I'm going to loosely go over this in a much faster manner. What color do I need? I need like a coral color. No. Let's see if that one will do what I want. Yes. Yeah, this one is luminance. You can't read your things, and I don't even know if the pink is what that is called. I'm going to use that. I don't understand how, and I think that they have improved that. I think somebody said that they redid the naming of that, but oh my gosh, I have no idea what, like you can't even see that. Your pencils are the most expensive. You should probably make it so people can read what it says. Oh, maybe I'm asking too much for a horribly expensive pencil. I mean, they're worth it. I love them, but it'd be wonderful if I could read that. Let's see. Taylor said, how did you start your business? Etsy, eBay, etc. I think eBay. I'm trying to think if I did much before that. I had my website, and I was really, I did eBay, but I was also going and doing local, like small art shows at like coffee shops where I never sold anything, and then a local art store or art gallery in California that was called Angel's Art Gallery. It was in the Pomona Arts Colony. They're not there anymore. The Pomona Arts Colony is, but that specific Angel's Gallery is not. But that's really where I started. And then I think eBay actually happened after that because I didn't have a computer this is back in the 90s. So maybe 97 or so, 96, 97. I started with that gallery and then just doing local art shows. And then my husband and I started dating in 90, I'm going somewhere with that. I think it was like 98. Was it 98? And we bought our first computer right around 98, 99, and that's when I started. We bought it together, and it stayed, like it was before we got married, so he was still living in his parents' house. I was living at mine. We were like 21, so we kept it at his parents' house because my mom at the time, and I still give her crap for this one, thought that the internet was bringing the devil into your house, and so I wasn't allowed to have the computer in our house, which is, I still give her crap for that because she's got Apple computers and her iPhone, and she's all into the technology stuff now. But back then, she was determined it was evil, and I was bringing evil into her home. There was a fight about that. But anyway, so I kept the computer. We went in halves, and we kept it at Matt's house. And that's when it was the Angels Gallery at the time, and then eBay was right after, probably 99, I started selling on eBay. And back then, things actually sold fairly well on eBay. Now, much less so. I mean, I haven't tried in years, but they back, it was right around 2005, 2006, they just, stuff on eBay wasn't selling as much as it previously had. Well, eBay, I think the large reason for that was that eBay had changed their pricing, and it was too expensive to sell because they were charging so much, whether your item sold or not. They were just charging a lot. Okay, so I've got my general kind of lights and darks, and we're going to blend that orange in, and I'm going to throw pencils on the floor. Ugh. And I had also built my website around the same time. I started with, I don't know if you guys remember, any of you are old enough to remember Angel Fire websites. I had my old Angel Fire. It was like angelfire.com/stars/Lachri, I think, or something like that. It was really long. It was really funny. But I learned HTML and did that. Nikayla said, any tips on growing your social media, and have you considered making art TikTok? Nope, I won't do TikTok. I don't see where that would be beneficial for me. That I don't have time to do another social media thing, and I don't see that as being, and maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but I just don't have it. Let's see, kind of like not super chat. What was the other one that people were doing? Snapchat and some of those. I tried them and I'm like, they're just, I don't think they're super useful in my case. I'm going to pull some more yellows in here before I blend this out. So, no, I don't do TikTok myself, but as far as growing social media, consistency. Post a lot. Post quality ideally, but consistency is important. If you post once a month, people forget who you are. And I have this happen all the time where somebody will post, like I'll have followed somebody and they don't post for a while. I forget who they are. They post again out of the blue. And I'm like, why am I following this random person? And then I end up unfollowing them because I don't remember why I followed them in the first place. So consistency, and use the hashtags properly. Like with Instagram, those hashtags are going to be a big part of growth. But consistency is going to be my biggest tip for you. Anne said, hi Lisa, do you always save your highlighted areas when working in colored pencils and just work around them when starting a new piece? Me, no, because I have Touch Up Texture Titanium White. You'll see me put my highlights on there. I don't need to. I recommend that though for somebody who doesn't have that product. Oh, that jumped. Oh, thank you, Robbie, for the Robbie B, the English game cat, for the super chat. Says, hi Lisa, I love your work. I've stuck to Fabriano Artistico hot press with my polychromo since watching you, so thank you. Robert Bateman, am I saying that right? Robert, this is Tiny. Yeah, Bateman on Instagram. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, where was I? Let's scroll up. I get all excited. Angel said, are you going to attempt to draw a car a la Chris Dunlap? I am not. Cars are not. I'm not. So I always recommend you paint and draw things that you're interested in. It's going to come out better. I've never been super my dad's a car person. My mom is really into the Volkswagens as well. I just never got excited about cars. I wasn't in a Volkswagen that caught on fire one time though, and that freaked me out. So maybe that has something to do with my lack of interest. Anyway, where is the brush that I want? Did I pull it out? I'm missing a brush. Oh, there you are. So I don't, because I'm not super cars are my favorite. I can appreciate other people's amazing artwork. I wouldn't have fun painting it. And I think that would affect my work. This is not the brush I wanted. It's similar. Dang it, hold on. I thought I was so prepared today. I probably was. I probably took the brush out so I wouldn't lose it and then promptly lost it. Because that is what I do. I've organized, which means I've lost everything. So yeah, I had one of my friends, Stacy, tried years ago. Her boyfriend does some kind of racing. Weird looking little. It's kind of like golf carts on steroids. I don't know what the heck those cars are, but she wanted me to paint one, and I'm like, no, there are other people who do that type of art. I'm not one of them. That doesn't. Mine would not come out very good just because of the lack of excitement over it, I guess. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to have to use this brush, even though it's clearly been used for acrylics. Actually, part of me wants to not, because I don't want to ruin it, because then once I use it with this, I can't use it for acrylics. Seriously, where is the brush that I want? I have this one. I guess this can work. It's not ideal. It's my one I normally use, but it's so frayed It's going to be hard to do detail. So I'm using odorless mineral spirits, and I am going to lightly go over this just to blend that out. Now this is not the same. I have people ask all the time, are you using water on this? It's colored pencil. They're wax and oil based. Water's not going to do anything for you. So this is odorless mineral spirits. And it doesn't spread the pencil out. Like, let's say I was using Inktense or watercolor, that's going to spread everywhere. That is not what you get with colored pencil. It just makes it kind of dissolve in place. It doesn't smudge it out that far. So we need that to let that dry. And while that is drying, I can go ahead and do the green on the leaves or the stems. Now, you don't want to take your pencil over an area that is wet because you will damage the tooth of the paper, which is a big issue. And it doesn't stick that well anyway, so we don't want to do that. Where am I? Sergi said, are you still using the Winsor and Newton masking fluid? That stuff made my nose take a second honeymoon for all for himself. No, I haven't used it in a while. It's been a very long time. I mean, if I needed masking fluid again, that's what I would use, but it has been a long time. Joshua said, luminance changed the lettering to white and can be read a lot easier. The silver is a pain to read. Oh, that's good. Let's see. I haven't had to buy any because they last a long time. I haven't had to replace them in a while, so I haven't seen the new ones yet. Let's see. That's what I don't understand. All Karen Dosh products have the names lengthwise in the barrel except for the luminance. Pamela said, hi Lisa, I'm trying to learn colored pencil, but I can't get the order yet. Example, base color, medium tone, etc. Does colored pencil work from dark to light? You can do dark to light, you can do light to dark, you can do I usually go medium and then light and dark from there, like what I'm doing here. There's no one right or wrong way. What I would suggest you do is experiment. That's how we all learned, is you experiment. You put the color down. Okay, if I put my dark down and then I put light on top of it, what happens? Okay, what happens if I do the reverse? What happens if I start with a medium and put lights and darks from there? You've got to figure out what's going to work best for you. There's not one straight answer. Light to dark is always safer because you could go too dark and not be able to lighten it up again. So that's something to consider. But there's no, this is always the way to do it. With art, there's never a time where I would say, this is always the way we do, it varies. And I know that's not helpful when you're looking for a very specific answer, but it varies. Okay, so I've got out my light green, chromium green, opaque, and May green. For the stems, we'll just block those in really quick. Let's see. Angel said, I hope that Lachri joins TikTok because she'd be a good art hat queen. I don't have time. That's the thing. I've seen some and they're so, one of my favorite things in the world right now is a TikTok from a lady who is sharing her succulents. I laugh so hard every time I watch it. And I'll just watch it again and again. And it is hilarious when she talks about one of her succulents, she stopped watering and it is a punishment. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it is. And so I appreciate how great they can be. I have enough with what I'm doing now that I'm not getting done all the way. So those of you on Patreon know I still haven't gotten your reference photos done. That is this weekend. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Irritated Paintbrush said, I was thinking if you had an art degree. I do not. I taught myself. Art Freak said, can you please do a video on your channel camera setup? I'm really curious how you point your camera in front of your easel without having a shadow or glare. Yes, that is actually a very, on my very soon to do list, and I'm going to finish up getting I've got a couple more changes I'm waiting on, that'll be done in the next week for my studio. And yes, that is definitely, on my to-do list. Making the studio all pretty so it looks nice on video first. So I'm just gonna loosely put in my shadows there. When I say loose, I still want my edges clean. So I'm just being sloppy on the inside. The outer edges need to be nice and crisp. And I'm just looking at that reference photo about where are my lights and darks. Missing an entire leaf there. Whatever. Jason said, my mom doesn't touch computers, but now she uses Apple to talk to people. Hold on, scroll too far. Here we go. Jason said, isn't a mess your organization? No, I organize things so it looks very nice, but I have no idea where I put them. I don't like messes. I've never, like, when we moved here, I didn't get the studio set up. Oh, that's really way too bright. I didn't get the studio set up quite how I wanted it yet. And so I'm just now getting there to where I actually like being in the studio. This whole time since when we moved in November, it's not been comfortable. Like, I don't know. It's just not been set up in a way that was organized and I was comfortable. I was at the apartment, but I didn't yet here. So almost. But I'm really weird about wanting, like, if it's not organized, I am not comfortable in that room. Phyllis said, a car that caught on fire while you were in it. Quite an interesting life you got there. Yeah, that was before cell phones even. That was back in like 95, 94. And I had at the time I had a cockatoo, umbrella cockatoo was with me in the car. And so that was a big concern. Like, oh my God, this bird, because he just went with me everywhere when I was younger. I was afraid he'd get sick. He was fine. But yeah, that was an interesting night. And what was funny, we were teenagers and my boyfriend at the time had been driving, and we get out of the car and this lady is on the other side of the fence. She's like, I called because you didn't have cell phones. There was no way to call. We're just standing there like, what do we do? She's like, just so you know, I called the police. Like, I forget how she worded it, but she was warning us so that if we had stolen it, we knew to get away now. And I'm like, really? Okay. It was an interesting night. It was not a stolen car. Let's see. Chris said, when an artist doesn't enjoy the subject, I think you can totally tell in the final work, which totally makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Like I used to, when I would teach in-person classes, I would have occasionally teenage boys come to class. And whereas with a teenage girl, they tended to, like, usually I'll start people with a rose. They were more interested in it. A teenage boy, probably not super interested in drawing a flower. Maybe as you get older, and I get it. I wasn't interested as a teenager as drawing flowers either myself. Like that wasn't my thing. And I found that the students who were drawing something they weren't at all interested in just did not learn as well as somebody else. And so I've always let the students choose subjects they were excited about. I mean, I had one teenage boy drew a gun. Like, all right, bring in the reference photo. That was what interested him. So that I find to be, I've really noticed a difference with teaching, how much better somebody does and how much faster they learn when it's a subject they're interested in. Okay, where's that tiny brush that I said I didn't want? I changed my mind. I want it now. Let's see. Betty said, hi, Lisa. You're a great artist. I try to practice, but my work is inconsistent. Thank you to inspire me to keep trying. Yep, keep going. Carol said, what do you have planned for October 26th? I think it'd be, if Aquashella happens, I'm going to be getting ready for Aquashella. I don't know. Is October 26th a special day that I am not knowing about? I'm pretty sure that's getting ready for Aquashella because that's supposed to be Halloween weekend. But if Aquashella happens, I don't know if they're even doing like events here. I know they're talking about opening up, what's it called? Movie theaters, but you have to wear the mask the whole time. And then that's going to be a thing with Aquashella. I don't think I would have the capability to wear a mask for all those hours. I think I would lose my mind. I mean, I wear them, it's mandated here in Texas. I wear them like going to stores and stuff, but I don't know if I could do it all day. I think I would go insane. We'll see. I guess I'll find out, huh? Okay, I'm going to use that cherry red from Derwent Lightfast. Let's start getting these brighter reds in here. Moody Roan said, I was working on a Fredericks round canvas and I was like, how are these Lisa's favorite canvases? But the more I worked on it, the more I liked it. Second favorite behind gesso board. Yeah, no, I do have to put, and this is important for that, I have to put a couple coats of gesso on it in order for me, this is too dark, in order for me to actually like it. So that is part of it for sure. By itself, I don't paint directly on it as it is out of the package. Cover, the whatever. I have to put a couple coats of gesso and smooth it out with sandpaper. So I finally got my big set of polychromos this year and was told that baby oil could be used. Does that actually work? Does it work? Yes. Is it archival? Absolutely not. That's what like crafters on cards and stuff. The people who use it are not artists who care, or maybe they're just completely uneducated about whether or not their work is going to last long term. Baby oil doesn't really ever dry right. It's all kinds of problems. Do not use it on artwork. Like, why would you buy an archival product and then use something that is going to undo that? Do not recommend. Angel said, Twilight's Edward is officially Batman. That movie is still clings on to him to this day, even though he did a decent power acting. He's actually an excellent excellent actor. But yeah, he has definitely, everyone looks at him and they're like, oh, sparkly vampire. Yeah, it's kind of sad how bad that is. And it's like his acting even in that movie was good. It's just the Kristen Stewart, whatever the idiot's name, like, God, I can't stand her. As an actress, as a human in her interviews, she's just so I'll tell you why I can't stand her. She was in I like fantasy stuff. So she was in a movie, was it the Snow White one? And it had Chris Hemsworth? I don't know, one of the Thor, whatever. Anyway, or his brother, I forget if it was him or his brother, but was it him? Now I'm like, wait, I don't know, some hot guy was in it. And who's an actor that everyone likes. Well, she slept with the director. And I really did enjoy that movie despite her horrible acting. The rest of the movie I liked. Well, because she and the actor had relations, the wife of the actor, or the wife of the director, said wouldn't let him do a movie with her again. It's just divorce the dude. Like, you can't trust him at that point. Let him make his movies. But anyway, I'm very bitter that she ruined that, because I would have liked the second part. Like, it wasn't unfinished, and I hate unfinished stories, and that one was unfinished. So yeah, I'm not a fan of hers. But between her and the Taylor Lautner, or whatever his name is, not worth remembering how to say right. Even if someone was a good actor in Twilight, it was overshadowed by the horribleness that is those two. Like, God, they are painful to watch act. Let's see. George said, I'll be drawing a motorcycle in the future, but only because the guy on it will make a good portrait. The shapes of the motorcycle will help the composition, though. Nice. Sorry, it just jumped. Where were we? Here we go. Annette said, hi, Lisa, would it be possible to see around your new studio sometime? Yes, and the studio, was it the last video that I edited that went up on YouTube? That one I did show at the beginning. What video was that? The sea turtle? That one does have the studio in it, if you want to see where it was a few weeks ago. But I've gotten a new piece of furniture. It's looking better. But yeah, the next video that I edit, I may have one more video edited before I update it, because it's not going to be till Wednesday that the table cart thing comes. But yes, that is definitely, like, within the next couple of weeks that'll be updated. Carol said, Shadowlands live 4 p.m. I wish I had time. I might get to play tonight. I've got to start that oil painting, because I am behind right now on work. So Warcraft has to be put on hold. Angel said, how was being an artist in the 90s like? Are artists forced to enroll in an art degree? No art degree necessary. An art degree has never been necessary for art. It's just not. But back then you were dependent on galleries. You needed to find art galleries to sell your work in, because there was no internet. So, I mean, there was, but no one was using it to sell stuff at the time when I started. So going to galleries and talking to them and I remember when I first was like, okay, I'm going full time now with the art. I drove from gallery to gallery to gallery. And this is when I only did marine life. So that really limited me on I was in Southern California, but like, I drove down to Laguna. I drove all over the place, going from gallery to gallery with my portfolio and being turned down a million times, mostly because they already had the artist they needed for that gallery for what I was doing. I wasn't doing anything at the time that was unique. And so that was definitely hurting me. But yeah, it was very different. Like, I can't even imagine doing that now. Like, now you just email the gallery, hey, you interested in it? But I drove all over Southern California finding a gallery that was going to be suitable for me. Good. The moral of the story there, don't give up till you find one, but if that's something that you want to be involved in. But yeah, that was different. And then, like, art shows, though, I would do local, like, art in the park type things. That was a good way to, well, not really a good way. I would say it was a good way to get sales, but it really wasn't. I mean, it was one of our few options back then, but I didn't have a lot of luck getting sales from them, because most people didn't want to spend more than $20 on anything. And back then, this is before like Vistaprint or anywhere where you could print Like you couldn't even print on your own at home. You had to go to this huge expensive company. Like, so just to give you an idea back then, I had a one painting. To get one painting scanned good enough, because this is before DSLRs, to get scanned well enough to make prints out of, not even for the prints, just the scanning, $5,000. In the 90s, oh my, 5,000 is a lot now. In the 90s, like it was unobtainable for me to do prints. There was no possible way. So it wasn't until the 2000s that like Vistaprint and I could start doing postcards and stuff like that. But earlier on, that wasn't even remotely, and I was broke. So it was like, that's not even going to happen at all. Hold on. So I don't need to do that right now. So yeah, that was definitely different than what we as artists do now, for sure. I really like the invention of the internet. Like it has made stuff to be an artist. Like I can't think of a better time in history to be an artist, because you don't have to have someone else as your boss. You're not dependent on somebody else at all. You can completely do it on your own. You can do things how you want without anybody else telling you, well, I think you should do it this way instead. Oh, okay, people will always say that, but you don't have to listen to them now. Yeah, this is a good time in history to be an artist for sure. Things are much easier than they were when I was younger. Angel said, how is being an... Okay, got that one. Elizabeth said, hi from Holland, Lisa. Will you keep this live stream to view later here on YouTube? Absolutely. Jason, oh, come back, Jason. Where'd you go? Sorry, I have to scroll past a bunch of spam that has been deleted. Said, could you could take an oxygen tank to Aquashella and breathe out of it and feel better. I think I'd look like an idiot. More so than usual when I'm filming. Carol said, oh, all the awards for those Twilight movies should go to Jasper. It should go to anyone who had to deal with with Kristen Stewart and Taylor, whatever his name is. Nick said, oh my God, I saw the Snow White movie she was in. Thank God for Charlize Theron to save it. I didn't know who Kristen was, but her acting was horrible in it. Her acting is horrible in everything. I mean, that girl, and now keep in mind, this is coming from someone who was a huge fan of Twilight. I've watched those movies over and over again. But oh my God, her acting in the last one where she has the daughter, and I say daughter because it's like it was the CG person. At one point they had the little girl and she's supposed to like hug her, and she's like touching her like she's contagious. Like she must have known about COVID back then. It was like a COVID hug. It was the most awkward. Like she's horrible. I don't understand how someone can be that bad and get work. Hello Shiny said, it takes me so long to organize and tidy up because I'm not naturally tidy, but I can't relax and draw when there's a mess, so I overthink it and try to get perfect so I can draw. Nancy said, I'd be more mad at the director. He's the one who broke a promise. Well, exactly. I mean, yeah, but I can't see him. I visually see her and her poor acting, and it's like, just cast somebody else as that role. Like, why wouldn't you just have somebody else? She's not good. Get someone decent. Heck, you could get a decent actor to pretend they were a bad actor so it seemed more like her if you wanted to. George said, tell us how you really feel about Kristen. God, I can't stand her. I won't watch anything she's in. Actually, my husband said he did watch something recently that she was in and it was decent, and she didn't make it, and he was all, it was like, yay, she died. So I don't know what movie it was. I just remember him commenting on that and it made me laugh. But he was surprised that she didn't ruin the movie for him. Brent Does Art said, has anyone seen the Canson Me10's touch paper? It has a border. I'm wondering what the border is. I have not. Should I watch should you watch the most current Charlie's Angels? I wouldn't. I didn't hear anything good about that. That looked terrible. I mean, it's not really my style of movie anyway, so I'm not going to give the best advice, but anything she's in, I don't watch now. If she doesn't ruin it with her acting, she seems to ruin it in other ways. That might be better. So you can see we're just slowly building up where our lights and darks go. And it's going to look so good when we come back on with our highlights. I really want to start building up some of the darks now. And it does not matter if it's not exact. If you miss a complete like seed, or you realize, oh, the shadow didn't go here, it's not that big of a deal on this one. But do make sure you get your high contrast with your lights and your darks. DJ said, have you heard of the light fast paper yet? I have heard about it, but I have not used it yet. The Derwent one? No, wait. Someone said Inktense paper. No, maybe I haven't then. I have no idea. I'm going to go with no. I'm changing my answer. What is your favorite color? Teal. Definitely teal. Okay, I'm going to start making this a bit darker. Part of it, I can go over that with that coral color again. And you can see now I'm being sloppy. I've already got my base colors on there, so I don't have to sit and have the most perfect little circles. I'm going to be pretty messy here, and it's still going to be smooth because I've already got that smooth base. And where was that brighter red? And after this layer, we're going to start on the details. Julie said, is the lighting on the strawberry from two main sources, the light source from above the photo and reflective white from the white surface? At least two. So this is one of the things that we worry about light source, and we always think of it like, where's our light source? It doesn't come, it never, almost never, unless there's a very specific light setup, and even then it's usually not, it usually doesn't come from one source because of the way light bounces around. And in the case here where we're talking about a white background, that light is bouncing. I've got some light, it looks like is coming here. We've got some here. We've got some under here. It's coming from all over the place. But yeah, the main light source looks, oops, good job, Lisa, looks like it's coming from there. Let's go ahead and erase that. I may be putting an extra leaf to hide that. We'll show you how to fix stuff if that does happen, if you're not paying attention and waving colored pencils all over the place. I'm going to start with a clean eraser. Let's see how much of that will erase. Or just smudge out. So what I'm going to do, because if you can see that little line, we're just going to throw in a couple of little extra leaves. And problem solved. If you ever do something like that when you're not paying attention or something happens to the art, don't freak out and throw it away. I've seen people do that. Just hide it. I'm going to balance that out by making this guy a little bit thicker over here. And no one but all of you guys, no one but 453 people are going to know that was ever there. But it's a very easy thing. Like when you, and if I made a line somewhere else, let's say I had a line over here I didn't want. Okay. Let's get creative. Maybe a leaf sitting on the base, the ground, or a bubble, or, you know, you finish it. You can still find a way to finish it. You're an artist. You're a creative. Be creative. Paul said, just in Chris Dunlap's blog with you as a cameo. Let's see. Miriam said, sorry, question was long. Was there another? Did I miss? Oh. Miriam said, hi, Lisa. Earlier you mentioned about not having an art degree and being self-taught. Would that apply to other artists who went about improving their skills similar to you? What exactly? What part of it? I'm not sure what part you mean. I mean, no one needs a degree in art. You just don't. I'm not saying there's no value in it, but you can learn it without getting a degree. If I had a degree on my wall right now, it would not get me more viewers. If I had a degree on my wall, it would not get me more sales. It may, if I had, maybe a foot in the door with art galleries if I met the right people in certain situations. But even then, I can't tell you how many people I know with an art degree who work at the counter at Macy's doing makeup for people. It was a very expensive degree to do makeup for other people. So it's not, or sell makeup. It's not even doing makeup. They're not like makeup artists. They are selling makeup and showing people how. So no, you don't, that degree, that paper doesn't necessarily, in most cases, unless you're getting into teaching in certain, other schools, and even that, there are limited positions available, because I've known of so many people who are like, well, that's my backup plan. I want to be a studio artist, but I can teach. There are not that many to be a professor. That was the one person I was talking to. She wanted to be a professor, and it's like, there aren't that many options available. So you're going to go into debt to get a piece of paper for working at Macy's. I don't find that it necessarily makes the artists any better. In many cases, there are artists, they came out of school and I'm like, they started painting like, I mean, if that's the style they like, great, but I knew this person and it was not the style she liked. But after school, it looked, the stuff she was doing, she went from being, I'm trying to think how to word it without being more realism to it looked more toddler style. It was interesting. So it's not even like it necessarily improves your art depending on what goals you have. And I'm not saying you shouldn't experiment with other styles and such, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do, I should let this dry, but I'm not going to, that you are going to be a better artist coming out of it. I don't like our current system anyway. I don't like that we get these kids in serious debt and they start their careers out. I mean, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, sure, you're going to make the money back and you can pay off that debt. Getting a degree in art, you're going to have a hard time paying back that debt at Macy's. So why? I mean, that degree can be used in other things, sure. I just think there's better things if you're going to go to school. I think there are better things to get a degree in. That's just me. I don't like the way our system is starting people out in their life completely in debt. That makes it very hard to get ahead, especially as an artist. Let's see. Scrolling up because I am missing a whole bunch of colors. Here we go. Angel said, the audacity of casting Kristen Stewart as Charlie's Angel is crazy. Yeah. Phyllis said, I'm trying to picture Kristen Stewart, so I Googled her. A blank page is all that came up. Well, just like her acting skills. Julie said, is the lighting on the strawberry from... Okay, got that one. TK said, what sharpener do you use? The red seems to be sharp, but not extremely sharp. How sharp does the pencil have to be minimum? Depends on what you're doing. I mean, most of the sharpeners I'm using are Coom. This one actually is Faber-Castell. But these little metal handheld sharpeners are my favorites. When they get dull, they're very inexpensive to replace, or you can even replace the blade on them. But this one's a Coom. These are my normal go-to sharpeners. If I want something really sharp, there we go. This is the Coom long pointed sharpener. This thing's amazing too. So, but the sharpness that I get out of these little handheld ones really normally is plenty for me. We're going to do the highlights on that in just a second. Let's see. I'm just waiting for that to dry all the way so I can go over it. DJ said, I heard it was a great paper for colored pencil anyway. I need to try it. Moody Roan said, I know you said that you like watching documentaries. Did you see the Witches of Salem one last year? It was really good. I've watched some on the Witches of Salem, but I don't know if it's the same one you've watched. I know what I've watched was super interesting. It was crazy because people were using the witch hunts as a way to get rid of people and take land from people that they didn't like. And it was just amazing watching and then seeing people act that way now. But the way they were, that person's a witch. Like, I'm going to pick this key term that everyone's afraid of and call them that whether they are or not, just so that it's terrifying that humans act that way. Miriam said, oh, no, I got that one. No, I didn't get that one. Hi, Lisa. No, we got that. And I wasn't sure I answered that properly. And then I scroll. Okay, yeah, Miriam said you answered perfectly. Thank you. Okay, good. Paul said, could you just imagine how hard back then it was? South LA back then, less polluted. I never went to South LA. Like, that's a whole area that I just didn't really go to. I liked Laguna Beach, was like my favorite go-to. Laguna, I went to Huntington, I went to Newport a lot, and then I lived in the Inland Empire. So like Claremont, California is where I grew up, and then Rancho Cucamonga is where I lived before we moved to Texas. I mean, you can look up where those are, but yeah, South LA, like anything with LA, I've always hated LA. I pretty much stay out of it, even the pretty parts of LA. I don't like big cities at all. So yeah, I avoided it. DJ said, have you heard of Copic marker paint gun? Saw someone show how it worked yesterday. It was new to me. You put the marker into, I've seen it. I've never used it. I don't really use Copics, so I haven't looked into it too seriously. Hi, Lisa. Greetings from India. Greetings from Texas. Do you have any plans for trying out Inktober this year? I don't have time to do those. I think they're really cool, and I think they're really neat how they motivate people. They make for great videos. I just don't. There's no way I can do that and still get actual tutorials done. So not for me. Irritated Paintbrush said, once my friend dropped drops of chocolate milk on my artwork accidentally. I freaked out for a moment, but then drew brown polka dots to cover it up. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Phyllis said, oh my god, I just came up on Google and she's going to be playing Princess Diana in a movie called Spencer. Boy, is that a stretch. Yeah, I won't watch anything with her. That girl is horrible. Like, even people who are, I'm like, that's a horrible human, but you're a really good actor and that's all I care, just do your job. Okay, she's bad at everything. She's just seems like a terrible person and a terrible, like in interviews, watching her, it's just like, no, I don't like anything about this person and you ruined Snow White. Larry said, how's your chicken doing? Obnoxiously loud. We keep trying. Well, though we found another thing that he likes that's kind of keeping him calm. He wants to be held nonstop all the time, and the more I hold him, the worse he gets with being like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention. That's like his head. That is all he says. So, but other than that, he's good. Luckily, we're not in an apartment anymore, so he can be obnoxiously loud. Chris said, a degree that would actually be more useful for artists today, business or marketing. Exactly. And I say that all the time. Yes. That is where most artists fail. I know of so many artists who are phenomenal but cannot make a living because they don't know how business and marketing works. And that's what, yes, absolutely. But even that, you can learn business and marketing online. There are courses online that aren't necessarily through colleges or free. There's so much free content if someone is willing to put the effort in. But yeah, that is where most artists, you were right, that is where most artists fail in making a living. Let's see. Syl said, I have a Faber-Castell handheld sharpener and it ruins my pencils, constantly breaking the tips except for graphite. Any ideas why? It could be a bad blade. They don't last that long. You either need to change the blade, and to be honest, and I hate to say this because I love Faber-Castell, they're not my go-to. Like when I have a bunch of them, but when I replace them, I'll go back. I'll just keep buying Coom. The Coom ones I've had less problems with, but I've had that on a few where I think I just had a bad blade or the blade wasn't seated in there right. And I've had that more with Faber-Castell sharpeners than I have Coom. So, but sometimes the sharpeners the metal or the blade gets dull and you just need to replace it. So it could be as simple as that. But if it's tearing up your pencil, the blade is bad. So definitely time to replace. Casey said, and the ridiculous requirements that made you a witch. Like if you drown, you're not a witch, but if you float, you're a witch. And they made it so it was absolutely impossible. We see this today. People are doing this to each other today. Oh, I don't like what this person said or what they believe in this thing. So I'm going to call them this evil word and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, get away. We hate that thing. But even though that person isn't the thing that they're accused of, and there's no way to get out of it. There's no way to prove you're not the thing they accused you. It is crazy because we're seeing people do this. People are horrible to each other. Yeah, I hate the human race. I like dogs. The greyhound is not laying in his bed properly. Whatever. I like dogs. Let's see. Julie said, Greyhound question. Speaking of, how long did it take yours to be comfortable enough to roach sleep? Gibson within a couple of days. Wade, maybe a week or two. They were roaching pretty. I mean, it's with them. I know people have been like, oh, your dogs are comfortable with you. Greyhounds, because of how they're raised, they like people. People like to make it sound like racing greyhounds were treated poorly and horrible and they were mistreated and all this. Not true. They're not even remotely afraid of people. Afraid of sounds, yes, because they're sight hounds and sight hounds are sketchy, but they're not, they've never, even when they were afraid of Wade was terrified of my backyard when he moved in. He was fine with us. Like when he's scared, he runs to people. Like people are safe. People treat me good. So greyhounds are maybe a little bit different than always. And some greyhounds will never roach. It just depends on the dog. But mine were pretty quickly. They were doing that. And it's just kind of like what greyhounds do, that it's their natural state. But I have heard of people who had greyhounds and like months or years later, they were all excited when the greyhound finally did roach. But yeah, mine were right away, like really pretty soon. Let's see. Anna said, hi, do you have any suggestions on how to keep canvas board paintings from warping with time? And do you think a canvas board should ever be used for professional paintings when selling? Yes, use a quality one. The stuff you get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, they're crap. They will all warp. If you put them in a frame, that's going to hold them in place if the frame is decent. But ideally, like if I am going to sell something on a canvas board, I go with Frederick's now. They don't warp. The Frederick's canvas boards Frederick's is the only canvas I use at all, but Frederick's canvas boards I wouldn't even for practice bother buying generic anything. It makes a big difference. This is my white luminance, by the way. I'm going to start lightening things up with it before I go on with my touch-up texture titanium white mixture. But yeah, where was I? God, read the question again because my brain just shut down. Oh, yeah, the other one, they warp bad, and I've never had that happen with my Fredericks. So there's no reason not to sell it if you're using a quality canvas board. If you're using crap that's going to warp, frame it. That'll keep it into place. You're okay-ish there, but yeah, it's an issue with canvas boards. So that's the Fredericks I don't worry about, but all of those other ones I have had some serious issues with the warping. But I've had issues with regular like Hobby Lobby or Michaels, their generic canvases. I've had issues with the normal stretch canvases, the stretcher bars warping because they use crap materials. So I don't use any of those to sell. Let's see. Paula said, talk about commission and down payment because some clients are rude and doubt the artist. So okay, if I'm going to take a commission, well, actually that's not true. I will edit come up with a design before I take a down payment, but I won't put a canvas to a brush until I've gotten that deposit. And that deposit needs to be a 50% deposit. I used to do a 100 even across the board, no matter what my price was. Now it's 50%. I have had too many times, and any artist will pretty much say the same, where the person backed out, whether they thought they were going to have money and then ended up some other bill came up, and that sucks for them. But this is my job too. So because you're short, you're now shorting me, which makes it hard for me to pay my bills. I'm not playing these games. If you don't pay a deposit, and if you give me an attitude about the deposit, I'm not working with you. That right there, that's a huge red flag. If somebody who doesn't want to pay a deposit, huge red flag, you weren't going to get paid in the first place. So it's not even something that you want to mess around with. It's you pay the deposit or you don't get the art. Those are your choices. And if you are rude at all, and this is something that I think artists need to feel comfortable telling somebody, I don't want to work with you. I'm not available for your project. You will have people that you can, those red flags are there listen to them. Because sometimes you get that client who is just non-stop drama and you're just like, I just want to give the painting to you for free at this point to never have to deal with you again. So when they start out being a problem, and if they're starting out not wanting to do the deposit, that right there, nope, not going to do it. One of my more recent ones that I was this is when I used to take commissions, so this was years ago, but this guy contacted me and he had 3 dogs that he was going around, and some of you have heard the story many times. He was going around and having different artists draw these dogs or paint them multiple times. There were dogs that were alive in the 70s, so you knew it was going to be a crap reference photo. So he showed me the photos. I'm like, yeah, I can probably do that. Here's a sample of the quality you'll get from that type of photo, because I did have another one I had recently done similar. But anyway, he wanted to know at what point, and I told him what it would look like. I told him we'd come up with a background that he would approve before I started. He wanted to know at what point during the painting he could request changes. Wait, I've not even started and you think you're going to want me changing things? I'm not working with you. No. That is not a thing. You approve the design before I start. You trust that I'm going to paint something. That's why you would hire me, because you know I'm skilled in what you want me to do. You already know you're going to want changes? No, you can leave now. We aren't doing that. And some people think that that's just a fun part of the process is, getting changes and being involved. Well, no, that is not how I work. So, if you don't feel bad when you have somebody who wants to hire you and you're like, this is going to be a nonstop headache for me, it's not worth the trouble. Tell them no. And when they start even remotely getting weird about a deposit, I'm out. Bruce, come back, Bruce. Where'd you go? Where are you, Bruce? I really scrolled. There we go. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're fine. Oh, I'm too late. I'm good. I'm glad you made it. Paul said, we're still kind of doing the witch hunt like the progress of humanity. Isn't that great? Yep, we definitely are. Let's see. Bruce said, I hate the human race. I try to go with common sense, although sometimes it is not fine. But life is fine every time. Helen said, because of you, I bought an airbrush for the backgrounds. That's nice. I'm so hooked that I do airbrush for portraits and animals now. I absolutely love the whole bindings for it. Yep, I love my airbrush. Janice said, one of my friends did her master's in illustration in San Francisco, finished in 2010. She's a working artist in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't get a job doing it. It happens, but you can also get a job without that degree. I just don't think it depends on what you're going into. The degree is not always necessary. There are cases where people made a living or are making a living from art and they have a degree in art. Absolutely. And there are just as many, if not more, cases of people who got a degree in art and are working at Macy's or wherever else. I say Macy's because I know some specific people who that is what their life ended up being. And they owe a lot of money in school loans. And I don't think it's a smart way to start. DJ said, yes, cockatiels crave constant attention when they are close to a person. I hand raised a male and he stuck to me like glue. I couldn't leave the room. He screeched at me. Yep, that's chicken. We laugh because we know his scream is actually mom, 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 mom. That would, if he was, that's what his scream would be. Come back. Jessica said, what is roaching? I know nothing about dogs. If you go to my Instagram, the photo I just posted for today's live stream, is what we're called roaching, when they lay on their back with their legs in the air. It's a greyhound thing. They all like that. Almost all of them lay that way. Casey said, the question I've been asking for a long time, can I watch you while doing my online class at the same time? It's time to find out, fingers crossed. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Does vellum paper work fine with burnishing using colored pencils? I don't like vellum. I can't give you a lot of advice there because I'm just not a fan of vellum paper with colored pencils. I've seen amazing work done with it, so I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just not something that I use enough that I could give you any advice one way or another because it just doesn't work well for my techniques. Because keep in mind, I don't typically, although I'm technically burnishing now because I'm pushing a little harder, I don't typically, that is the word I'm looking for, burnish that much. It's usually for like final layers. So it's not my go-to. But like I said, I've seen artists do it and it's phenomenal. So I don't want you to think that it can't be done. But I'm not going to do it. And I'll still come back through with that touch-up texture titanium white mixture for these really bright highlights in a bit. I don't want all of my highlights to be done with that because it would be too white. The center has just a few. Let's see. Lori said, my 7th great grandfather was Samuel Wardwell, a man in the last group of people accused of and hanged for witchcraft in Salem. His family sued Massachusetts and won some restitution. That's insane. Yeah, Moody Round said, it's like 2020 is the new 1692. Yep. It fascinates me because I remember like reading about and watching things on the witch trials, and you watch that going, I can't believe people fell for it, that people were so wrapped up in this idea of witches that they were willing to ruin people's lives over it. Like the groupthink that's involved, like this hive mind of people who can't think for themselves and it blows me away. And it's even more so to see it happening again now, and to see what is essentially the equivalent of that. And it's like people can just treat everyone so poorly. I don't get it. I don't understand being willing to try to ruin someone's life for what? For an imaginary boogeyman. Let's see. Gina said that friend, artist in Calgary, her sister did an art history degree and became an elementary school teacher on purpose. That's cool. Casey said, well, I tried and it's not working. Guess I'll just have to skip class. Just kidding. Thanks for another good live. Have a great day. See you on Wednesday. Bye. Have a good class, Casey. Stacy said, just got the slice tool and wanted to know when I should use it on my colored pencil piece with the fur being used, using more mineral spirits or towards the end. Okay, so the slice tool, do I have mine over here? Yes, I do. Oh my gosh. I don't know if anyone is as amazed as I am right now about, I just turned around and it was where it should be. So this works best, and I'm going to make a couple, I want to do a quick demonstration. So the slice tool, they actually contacted me about doing a promo thing for this, and I should because I actually really like this tool, and I like to do promos when it's something that I like. So we'll use this as an example. I'm going to do this and then blend it with OMS just to get something dark so it will show up. This is how I like to use it. Now, there are multiple ways. My way is obviously not the only one. Maybe we'll even try it on our strawberry. We'll see. So I'm going to blend this and then let it dry. We're going to come back to that. Don't let me forget to come back to this. So what I'm going to show you is one of my favorite ways to use it, or the most effective for me. So because I do use odorless mineral spirits, I have to layer a heavier wax layer on top and then expose that to make it really work for what I like. But we'll come back to that. Bruce said, I'm glad in my country you'd be laughed at by everyone for such an accusation, which, hashtag Austria. Well, we're using other accusations now. Jason said, it's not witchcraft anymore that we're accusing everyone of. Jason said, Lisa, are there different types of white colored pencils, not meaning different brands? As usual, I have no idea what you're asking. Sorry, Jason. Jessica said, what type of paper is best for colored pencils? Just got my 36 set of polychromos. Super excited, but I have no idea what paper to use it on. So right now I'm using Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press Watercolor paper. Used to be my favorite, but they changed it. The formula got changed a little bit. I'm going to come back through with some darker areas now. There goes my airbrush or my air compressor, but they changed it. I don't like it as much. I like the old version better, but it's still decent. My go-to paper now, my one favorite is definitely the Arches Hot Press Watercolor paper, but I also like Canson Me-Tans on the smooth side. That one's pretty good too. But my normal to go-to, Stonehenge is okay. I like it for portraits, not as much for other things, but it's okay too. So let's get these darks in there. Actually, we need to get these seeds in. Let's start doing some of those, the shadows. Yeah, and again, going back to the degree, I'm not saying there's no value in it. It depends on what you want to do. But if someone wants to be a studio artist or do like what I'm doing, you don't need it. If you've got the expendable income, go for it. Don't put yourself in debt for it. It's a silly degree to me to put yourself into debt for. I think that, if you can work your way through college and do it that way, but being an artist is hard enough. You don't want to start out with insane money that you owe. It makes it very, very hard to start a business when you're starting out in debt. And that's honestly what too many people are finding themselves in, or the situation. And I mean, I'm one who would recommend don't go into debt in the first place. I got myself into trouble that way when I was younger. That I certainly don't recommend. So I'm a big fan of not, charging a bunch of stuff, saving up to buy things if you need to. Bruce said, meant the other as well. Okay, there. Therefore, we're on the boogeyman in the EU element. Yeah. Jason said, the conversation was that you're using white for the highlights, and you said it was too bright. Oh, okay. So what you're talking about with yes, I'm using my luminance white. It's just your normal white, but it's not going to go as bright as my touch-up texture titanium white is going to be for my bright, bright highlights. So that's what I'm talking about. Sorry, Jason, although you should be pretty used to me having no idea what you're talking about. I swear I always misread your comments, and I don't know why. Usually because I see your name and I'm like, you're not naming my frogs. That's the first thing that goes through my head. I'm not even paying attention to your question. It's just, you're not naming my frogs. Which I don't have yet still. I did get the stuff that they were missing for building the vivarium. They couldn't get it from their vendor, so I ordered it on Amazon and sent it to them. It's like, here you go. So hopefully sometime soon, we will get the vivarium started for the tree frogs. So I'm pushing a lot harder here. This is not going to be blended out. I'm just leaving these little dark bits as is. Nick said, slice demo. Oh, yes. Is it ready? Oh, speaking here, this is roaching on a greyhound. Let me see if I can get him on camera. I've got too much stuff in the way. I don't know if you'll see him. Can you see Gibson back there? This stuff's kind of in the way, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, you can't really see him that well, but he's on his back. That is a greyhound thing. It's funny because the Italian greyhounds, they would only sleep under covers. They had to have a blanket. Whereas the big greyhounds, their thing is to sleep on their back. And they are known for bed fails where they just don't keep themselves all on the bed properly. Like they'll be half hanging out onto the tile, which does not look super comfy to me. So I'm going to use just a lighter color. We'll use, what is this one? Brown, ochre, 10%, just to make it so that it's a higher contrast. And hopefully this will show up because it's really small, but I can come through and scrape bits of okay, apparently not enough. I need heavier on there. This may be too wet. This may not be the best. I probably should have let that dry a little longer. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work enough. But you can see, you can get these little detail lines. Now, ideally, this is definitely still wet. It's not, it would show up a little bit better normally. But I've done this where I did a darker background like that and then scraped it away for like a mossy tree branch. This is not showing that well, but you can get these fine little details. I need to do a full video that's actually done correctly, and I didn't rush, and unfortunately my buff just blended in, I think, too much with the color that was there, so not super effective. Actually, let's do a layer where I'm not being lazy, and we'll come back to this again, because it's actually a really cool tool. I want to do higher contrast. Let's grab a black or something like it. Something dark here. This is dark indigo. That'll work. This is what I've used that I thought that I just really like the end result. You can do the reverse too, where it's light and then dark on top, and then scrape it away and let the lighter part show through. Let's see. Blend that out, and then we'll let it dry. And even as it is, I don't know if it'll show up on this because I did a sloppy technique, but you can see where it starts lifting and letting the white of the paper show through. But it works with OMS too if you've got that high contrast. So let's blend that out and actually let this dry this time. God, I love those Derwent Lightfast pencils. They blend like how sloppy that was and how smooth that blended out. I just turned it into an advertisement for Derwent Lightfast, but they're wonderful. And just for transparency, the Derwent Lightfast pencils were provided to me by Derwent. I did not buy these myself. Did I buy any of them? I might have bought a couple colors because I think I did run out of a few. I like them enough that I do replace them myself. Let's see. The X-Acto knife works best on burnished layers. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just getting a base layer and then I'll burnish on top and then use the slice tool. You are absolutely right. Scrolling up because I missed a bunch. TK said, do you think there's a good reason to see a psychologist if selling your soul for a full set of Caran d'Ache luminance and Derwent seems reasonable? Just kidding. But I love the pencils. I mean, I sold a couple of toes. There's a reason I never show my feet, so I can't judge. Just kidding. Jason said, that's okay, but frog legs is still my pick. No. Moody Rome said, I think the documentary I watched was on the History Channel. The one that amazed me was when they were going to hang the witches and the accusers were walking along laughing. It's disgusting. It is disgusting how people will treat other people. And they knew it wasn't true. Those people knew they were making stuff up. That just, horrible. Who was the witch in that case, right? When you say work on the contrast in the fur, do you refer to adding the shadow? By the way, each hair of the fur, or do you mean putting in the more evident shadow in it? Huh? Wait, what? Work on the contrast in the fur. I'm not sure how to answer that. What exactly you mean? Do you refer to add the shadows to each? I don't add shadow to each hair. So when I paint or draw fur, it's never an issue of like draw each individual fur mark, ever. Ever. There'll be a few individual strands, but it's clumps and clusters of fur and shadows in between that. Scroll back. Julie said, mine is better at bed fails. I have yet to catch them doing a roach. Angel, yeah, they're really good at bed fails. Angel said, what art movement do you like? Renaissance, Rococo, Impressionistic, etc. I can't say that. I don't know. I'm not sure. So here's I don't know if I have a favorite. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting that has definitely changed as I've gotten older. I would have said Renaissance initially, like when I first got into art. But the more, like, I really didn't like Impressionism at the time. And there are Impressionistic artists I like. There are abstract paintings I've seen, I don't know who the artist was, but abstract paintings I've seen that I liked. And when I was younger, that was never the case. And it's funny, I've definitely learned to appreciate just good balance and good, things that it depends on the painting. I can't even really say there's a definite time period. Now with music, I can. Like with music, the Baroque period is my absolute favorite with classical. But I don't know with art that I have like a favorite time period. It's interesting to watch how things evolve, the different styles, but yeah, I don't know. Bruce said, using OMS on my current Arctic fantasy landscape, and your advice is awesome. Thanks. Good, nice. I think I'm caught up. Nope, there we go. Brian said, have you ever drawn anime? And I think most of us started out drawing anime and then moved towards other styles. I've never drawn cartoons. Cartoons have never been an interest to me. So that has never been my thing. But then again, keep in mind, anime wasn't like something I saw much growing up. We saw cartoons. And I call them all cartoons because they're all cartoons. But yeah, no, that's never been something that super was interesting to me. Just wasn't. I don't have any reason for you. It just didn't interest me. But yeah, I know of a lot of amazing artists who started with anime and then moved from there into more realism. I'm going to go ahead and put my touch-up texture titanium white mixture so that has a chance to dry, and then I'll work around it so we can get those brighter highlights in there. So with this product, I already shook my touch-up texture up really well before the video. Usually you only have to shake it once or twice. Like let's say I was painting all day. Once at the beginning of the day, towards the end it may need to be. But this has a white powder stuff that will settle at the bottom. If you're using this product, make sure that has been complete. You'll know it's done being shaken up when that is no longer sitting there. You want that all mixed in. And so I am going to use, hold on one second. I keep getting messages from that person. I'm going to use colored pencil titanium white. So this is from brushandpencil.com. I'm going to use a liner brush and, oh, do I have one of these that's clean? I'll just scrape this out from using it before because I didn't wash this last time. I've got leftover dried up touch-up texture and titanium white on my little condiment cup lid that I just keep reusing, apparently not washing. So I'm just going to use a condiment cup lid. It's tiny. It works. You do not want to mix very much of this because it dries really quick and you can't refresh it. It's not something where, oh, just add more water and then reuse it. No. Whatever you mix, that's it. You have to mix a new batch if it starts to dry. So just, I don't know if you can see that. Tiny little powdery amount. And I'm going to dump some of the touch-up texture. Looks like it's in a little nail polish ball. But hold on. Do I have my brush ready? Dries fast. I probably don't want to go hunting down a brush. I can just use this one. I'm going to use a liner brush to mix this. I'll put a little bit of that in there. Now, if you put too much of the touch-up texture, you're going to make it very translucent. So you want it to be about the consistency you would want with your acrylic paint. We're going to stir that together. I want to say it's about 50-50. I don't have an exact amount, but that's probably about what it is, what amount I'm putting on there. Again, if it's too translucent, you use too much touch-up texture, add a bit more of the titanium white. Or just add another layer, which is what I'm going to do because I did make mine pretty light. So let's pay attention to where we want the brightest lights. And if it's too bright, it's no big deal. When it dries, you can go back over it with colored pencil again. It actually adds tooth to the paper, so your pencil will stick really well to anything that you've put this on. You've got a lot of little dots in here, the little shiny marks. Made by Dawn said, hi Lisa, have you ever used gouache and do you recommend white gouache as highlights with watercolor? Yeah, you absolutely can. Now you will have watercolor artists who are like diehard, like this is how you should always do watercolor, and they'll say not to do that. I personally do or would. I don't paint with gouache often. It's just opaque watercolor is all it is. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can do. But like I said, there are a lot of artists. What happens when the reason that they don't want you using white gouache is it flattens it out. With watercolor, one of the things that's so cool about it is it's extremely translucent. So you want to let the white of the paper be your highlights on there. And if you're using white gouache, you're losing that. You're flattening it out. So, I mean, I like how it looks. It depends on what goal you have. As far as like, is it archival if you use it? Absolutely. No problem there. But that's over watercolor. So anyone who's working in like a wax or oil-based colored pencil like we are here, you don't want to use it on that. That is not going to be archival, because gouache is going to be a water-based product. I'm going to go right around that edge. Gypsy Heart said, what other ways can you use the titanium white powder, or is it just to be used with a touch of texture? You can actually paint with it. Like I can, when I use powder blender, I can take a sponge and apply that like I would graphite powder. It's a little bit different because it is waxy. It has the wax in it, so it's not going to give you the same smooth blending that graphite powder would, but you can actually just apply it straight to the sanded paper. I mean, you could do it on paper like this too. I've never tried it. In theory, you could. I'm not sure how well it would come out. Like this product just made everything about colored pencil so much better for me. It's of all, like brush and pencil, they have a lot of amazing products, but this is the one I can't live without. Like I can't go back to not having this. For whiskers, thin whiskers on an animal, I can paint them in, or clumps of fur, just different highlights that I lost because I was being sloppy when I blended. This stuff is just, it is amazing. And the biggest thing is it's completely archival. So you'll see artists on YouTube. Like there's a lot of people who will use gel pens for highlights. It can look good, not archival. So, you know, that's something, not over colored pencil. Well, gel pen over like watercolor, over ink. Yeah, you're fine there, but not over this would be an issue. Do I love audiobooks? I do, a lot. Let's see, do you think electric erasers have any use? Because I think they aren't very useful, although I have seen many artists like Heather Rooney use them. I used to use them until I found these. I prefer, these are the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. I like this so much better. I feel like I have so much more control and I get better results with it. So do they have a use? Yes. I have no idea where mine is. I lost mine years ago and haven't bothered replacing it because I used it that little, if that says anything. Let's see, can you suggest a better medium used with acrylics to get a more realistic look? What do you mean, like a mixing medium? Or then, I'm not sure what your question is. Acrylics, I have no problem getting a realistic look, but I normally don't use mixing mediums. I use the airbrush to either keep the paint wet or just for different soft effects. I'm not sure, do you mean mixing medium? I need more, I feel like I need more information to answer that. Brian said, do you think artists and illustrators do the same, or is there a difference? I don't know how to label myself. I don't know what people consider the difference. It's usually people when they get into that like, well, that's not fine art, or that's this. I've had people, when I've used an airbrush and said something about being fine art, people jump all over, that's not fine art, that's illustration. Whatever, dude. Make up your, like, you can play with your little, my attitude with the people that have to have this definition and they want to play word games, I would rather spend my time painting than playing the word games on what someone wants to define something as. Like, if you want to debate that and you're interested in that, fine, go for it. I don't want to be, like, I usually just step away and go back to the easel and create, I would rather create awesome work than sit and argue over something stupid and then create crap work because I didn't practice because I was spending too much time arguing over stupid crap that didn't matter. Can I say crap again? So I never really got into I'm not sure what people define as being illustrated versus that. I don't think it matters. Create something pretty and I like it. I don't care what you call it. But I've never been one, like I remember years ago, before I was on YouTube or anything like that, Wet Canvas would have that. And people, I swear there were people on there, and it was usually people whose art wasn't very strong. They just wanted to argue over everything. And it's like, dude, if you spent less time arguing and more time painting, this argument it doesn't matter. So I don't know. I don't really care what people call it. Just create cool stuff and let them have their drama. Let's see. Have I ever tried the color or watercolor pencil of Kohl Noir? Not really. No, I think some might have come in a Smart Art box, and I wasn't a huge fan. Any suggestion how to add contrast to really short fur? See, that was kind of the thing that I had. If I'm remembering correctly, it felt like I couldn't get contrast easily with it, and maybe it was just the one I used. I don't know, but I wasn't a fan enough that I wanted to run out and buy any. That's for sure. I want to say it came in a Smart Art box. Maybe I'm remembering something different. I'm no help because I don't know a lot about that specific product, honestly. Unless it was what I used with Smart Art, which I didn't like. I mean, I like Smart Art box, but I didn't like that specific pencil. Let's see. Angel said, but why are they changing the Batman actor though? Because, I believe it's because what's his name? What is his name? Ben Affleck is a drama queen and didn't want to play anymore. And then they're like, fine, we'll get somebody who's actually a better actor. And actually, the funny thing is, Robert Patterson, whatever his name is, he's an excellent actor, like really good. If you can find something he's like really acted in, not Twilight. He's a very, very good actor. The problem he's having is everyone sees sparkly vampires. So trying to convince someone like, no, he's actually a legitimate actor, is a bit of a challenge for him. So yeah, that's they always change the actor though. You know how many Batmans there have been? Like kids these days, they don't know how many Batmans we've had. Like Beetlejuice was Batman at one point. Do I want any more white highlights? I'm trying to kind of do whatever white highlights I want now because I don't want to come back and do more of them besides with a colored pencil again because I'm going to go rinse this brush out. I'm putting the center seeds. I've got to go over them with yellow. I'm putting them with white or adding a white now just so it shows up. Well, when I do put the yellow over it. No, when I heard he was going to be Batman, I was not one of the people who was like, oh, that's going to be terrible because I know he's a good actor. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. But no, they do that all the time. They'll like revamp it and use different actors. That's kind of like just what they do with comics. Okay, I'm going to go rinse this brush. I have to rinse it in water so I don't ruin it. I will be right back. Good news is, hopefully by next week, I will have the wireless mic, so when I have to go rinse a brush, you guys can still listen. I can still ramble at you. Let's see. I was using a white gel pen with graphite archival. Yeah, it doesn't stick that well, and it looks kind of weird. It doesn't look like just normal white highlights. I don't like the lighting, and it may or may not stick well. You'll have to play with the type of gel pen, but it should be fine. It'll stick better over water-soluble graphite. So that may be, but if you're going to use it on graphite, I would recommend use it all over. Don't just use it like, oh, the white of the highlight of the eye, because it's going to stand out. This looks nothing like everything else in the piece. So that's where the challenge is with using like a white gel pen. Whereas in this one, if something's super white, I can go over it with my colored pencil and tone it down. So with the gel pen, it kind of smudges. I've never really liked my experience, and maybe it was a brand I was using, but I played with it and I just wasn't a fan. But it should be archival. Gypsy Heart said, I have heard the diff in artist and illustrator is that the illustrator mostly create artwork that is to be used in another way, commercial product packaging, children's books, etc. Yeah, and it's weird. That's how I always thought of it, and then you'll hear people say, no, it's the style, and I don't know what's correct, and then I'm like, I don't care enough to look into it. I just don't care. Angel said, just polarizing illustrators pick on fine artists and vice versa. Casey, why does everyone have to do that too? It doesn't matter what it is. Casey said, I can tell I missed a rant. I'll have to rewatch. I may have to talk to my teacher to let them know this is more important. I say it's therapy session because this is therapy for me. Oh my gosh, this is funny. Let's see. Angel said, yeah, and Hollywood revamps capitalize on nostalgia, so originality nowadays is hard. And it sucks. There's so many good books. Like, I like fantasy books. I'd like to see some good fantasy movies. They don't. I've been missing this pencil. It's because it's in the wrong place. Oh, and you'll work for this. No, you won't. Actually, you're too translucent. You go back where you came from. I need a yellow that's fairly okay. Ooh. Maybe you. But yeah, I read these books. I'm like, this would be such a good movie. But then they just keep remaking the same stuff again and again and again. Let's play around with a few different options here. And I'm going with opaque yellows because I need this to stand out a little bit more on some of these spots. Oh, scroll too far. Come back. Trying to figure out where we were. Casey said, other good news, I just got a background painted. No more nonsense. I am declaring that, sorry, that was hard because that grammar was not correct. I am declaring that didn't come out right. That I will finish this piece and that the coffee is no longer spicy, so it's safe to consume. That's awesome. Angel said, yeah, and Hollywood Revamps kept like, okay, got that one. Whoops, scroll too far again. Let's see. Melody said, how's the diet going? It's going good. I think I finally plateaued. I lost like 15 pounds and then it's like, yeah, I think we're done. I mean, I'm not done. I'm going to keep eating healthy and working out and stuff, but I finally hit, I thought I'd hit the plateau way earlier than this. So I'm grateful. I got to the stage where my clothes fit fine. Like actually a bunch of my clothes are too big now, which is awesome. So, it is going well, but this last week has been apparently a plateau. So I guess I have to figure out what to do about that. But it is going, it's surprising how easy it's gotten. Like it's not a big deal now. It's been what, 2 months now? And it just seems like normal to eat healthy choices. Not healthy choices in the type of food, but like healthy choices anyway. Heather said, slice demo, please. Oh, let's see. Is it dry enough now? Hopefully. I'm going to try to go on light this time. Where are my... Did I not leave any of those in here? I removed my pencils around. Nope. Hold on one second. See, I can't wait for that wireless mic. I imagine that was terribly loud given the microphone's attached to the thing that just slammed. Let's see. I mean, if you tried the Koh-i-Noor, I can never say it, a high quality product like the Polycolors colored pencil or the, what? I don't even know what half these words mean. Pencil, not the cheap stuff the brand sell. Oh, yeah, the higher stuff. That may have been why I didn't like it. That's entirely possible. Angel said, are you a foodie person? Do you like pasta, biscuit, and steak? I'm definitely not a foodie. I am so not picky about what I eat. I mean, as long as it's gluten-free because I have celiac disease. I am not a picky, like my idea of guacamole is mashed up avocado, salt, and onion. That is it. I don't see the difference when I put more effort into putting more ingredients. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. I'm a lazy person. So I don't really care too much if my food is like extra fancy. No, I have friends who are foodies that actually, Smart Art Box, the owners of that Smart Art Box, they're foodies. My brain doesn't work that way. When we went to dinner, they came out to Texas and we got together and I'm like, they're like, where's good to eat? I don't know. I eat like Chipotle is where I eat out. So I don't know where to tell you. I lost the slice thing. There it is. One of the things I love about this thing, because it has a bright orange, like this is the only thing that has that color, I think, at all in the studio, besides a few colored pencils. It's pretty easy to find when I lose it continuously. Do I have an autoimmune disorder? If so, which ones? I have celiac disease and ankylosing spondylitis and fibromyalgia. So those are my I have a fun trio there. Let's see. Brian said, I think taking fine art classes are very useful. I only went for a month and learned a lot. Even though my style is semi-realistic, knowing about realism helps a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have to. That's awesome that you liked it, but I also don't think it's necessary either to be an artist. I mean, I could say that I used to sit at McDonald's, this is not true, but like I sat at McDonald's and I read an art book and I felt McDonald's is the reason that I learned so much from that art book. I could have learned that much from just the art book sitting in my backyard. Like, did it have to? I'm not saying it's not a value. I'm saying don't put yourself, I don't think that artists should be putting themselves into debt for a degree that you don't need a degree for to do the thing you wanted to do unless you're getting into teaching. So, and heck, I teach and I don't have a degree. So there we go. Brian said, the Derwent drawing are some of my favorite. I wish there were more colors. Me too. Oh, me too. Do I love Turkey Leg Hut? What? I don't know what you're asking. I'm sorry. Okay, so here we go. See how we can do these little hairs? We can do it even thinner. And you can pull up these highlights and get all of these really amazing tiny, tiny details. You can hold it sideways and go even thinner. I mean, depending on how you hold this, you get just a huge difference in the results you get. But I find that it works better. Like, I like the way that I use it. I'll do a base of one color and then put the opposite color, whether it be light or dark, just the reverse, and burnish that color on top and then use this. But my base is what I'll use the OMS. If I blend over this with OMS, it's just going to smudge it out and you're not going to see a whole lot of anything. So I would do that for like a final layer of details. And that is the Slice tool, SLICE. I got mine on Amazon. I forget how much it was. It wasn't expensive. I should have put that in the description. I should start putting it in the description. Well, I'm not really using it on this one, but it is a cool tool. It's definitely worth having. Rachel said, that's what I think. I have celiac. It sucks. I think it's the root cause of my health problems. I have Raynaud's. I don't know what that is, and others. On a positive note, it brought me back to art and here. Well, I'm glad you're here, but I hope you figure out how to get that better. Yeah, let's see, what am I doing? Darks. I was so sick all the time. Like, as an example, I was exposed to mono. I drank out of a girl I used to work at a pizza place when I was a teenager, and I drank out of her cup instead of my own on accident. She had been out with mono, and so I got mono, but I didn't just get mono. I also got strep throat and scarlet fever to go along with it. That was fun. I thought I was going to die. So, like, because I had no immune system, so I couldn't just fight off the mono like a normal person would. Since I went gluten-free, and that was, God, 15 years ago, maybe 15, maybe not that long, but the difference is incredible in my health, like huge difference, because I have been sick my whole life. I mean, even as a baby, I was always sick. So, yeah, it's much better now. I was really hoping though, when someone suggested that they thought I might have celiac and so I went gluten-free, I was really hoping it wouldn't work, because I'm like, I don't want to give up pizza and all that, because back then there was no gluten-free pizza. There's no, like, I just had to start cooking for myself. I don't like to cook. I was not a fan. So yeah, things are much easier now because everything's actually labeled, whether it's gluten-free. I was really sad that I wouldn't be able to go out to restaurants with family or friends anymore. Like, I would just sit there and drink iced tea. That was if I went to a restaurant. Nothing was safe. Now restaurants are more aware of it and will let you know what products they have that are gluten-free. I mean, you still have to watch because sometimes they'll say it's gluten-free, but it's still prepared on the surface with all of the flour from something else. So you have to ask the restaurant to make sure they're really being careful with the celiac stuff or the gluten-free stuff. I also find it's better if I let the restaurant know. I initially used to say I have a wheat allergy or gluten, because no one knew what gluten was. So wheat was the most common, and that made sense. Well, now, because gluten-free is like a trendy thing kind of to do for a lot of people, not because they have celiac disease, but just because they think it's the equivalent of low fat or something. I don't know. So a lot of the restaurants, they don't take the celiac that serious, because someone will come in. My sister was a waitress, and she was telling me this. She said, we'll always have people come in. They have a fit about everything needs to be gluten-free. The chef comes out and talks to them. They go through the whole thing, because she used to work at an expensive restaurant. And then at the end of the meal, they order cake. And they're like, well, that cake isn't gluten-free. Oh, it's fine. I can cheat just once. Not if you have celiac disease, you can't. That's not how that works. So, I mean, if I have a single crumb of gluten gets in my food, like a crumb, I will be sick for almost 2 weeks. I will want to die. Because it's a hit to your immune system. So I just feel like absolute crap. So, like, you don't just cheat once. That's not how that works. But yeah, oh, by the way, I'm using Nightshade. This is the Derwent Lightfast, one of my favorite pencils. It must have pencil for me. Angel said, OMG, Patreon will be changing my name. Patreon will be changing my name very soon. Huh? I don't know what that means. George said, the strawberry looks great. I finished one of the 4 dog eyes while watching for the 2 dogs. I'm glad you specified that. Oh, that was an interesting dog. I recently discovered I am sensitive to wheat. I can eat it, but not too much at once. Ugh. Brian said, I want to work with oils, but I'm afraid of solvents because I have pets. Do you recommend water-soluble oil paints? I don't like water-soluble oil paints, and here's the thing. Water-soluble oil does not necessarily mean less toxic. It can, depending on what you're using, but it's still toxic, and that's something that people seem to not understand. Like, it's just, you don't have the solvents. But I don't like them. I've seen people do amazing work with them, so before anyone jumps all over me, they're just not my preference. I like real oils, but I just keep them away from, like, chicken can't be in this room at all when I've been painting. Like, I'm starting an oil painting tonight. It'll be, once the painting is dry, a good 2 weeks before I'll allow them in here. Birds are really sensitive to it. The dogs, me, we're all fine with it. I just make sure that they don't have access to like sticking their snoot into any of the oil medium or the paint thinner or anything like that. I mean, Lena Dania, many of you know her. She has a video that she did a few years ago where she accidentally drank paint thinner. I'm not recommending it. It's not good, but she's still here with us today. It's not like people, I think, are more afraid of it than they need to be. With kind of common sense caution or precaution, you should be fine. I'm going to do a little bit of the shadow. We're already at 3. Let's see if I can rush this along. I'm going to do a little bit of a reddish shadow around the outer edge. And I'm just going to burnish over it just to give us the hint of a shadow. That, get a light blue. Sure, you will work. What are you? You are mid ultramarine. I'm just grabbing one. I've got to pull this blue into the strawberry too. I didn't realize it was this late. I'm having too much fun chatting. And let's go to Caput Mortem, and then I'll do a dark purple for the darker shadow. And then I'm going to just put white over a lot of this to smudge it out. Like, I'm being super sloppy here, by the way. You can take your time on yours. Make yours look good. Let's see. So I'm using here my nightshade. Now, because I'm going up against the white of the paper, I am going to clean this brush in my paint thinner and wipe it off on the paper towel really well so that it's coming out completely clean. If I were to just put this straight on the white, whatever I was blending before, it would have been a dark blue. It would have been horrible. Oh my gosh, that would have been bad. So I'm just dipping this in my paint thinner, rubbing it on the paper towel, and I'm going to repeat that until that comes out completely clean. There we go. Just lightly go over that. And I'm going to soften the edges with my white pencil. You can seriously take way more time and make that really a nice transition, but I'm going over a little, so I'm rushing that. We're going to let that dry before I go over it with the white. Let's see. What is the name of the other Patreon-like platform? I want to tell others about it. It is Subscribestar. And I wouldn't say sign up just yet. Give me a couple weeks. Because I don't have a library. Like we have the Patreon video library. I don't have that set up yet for Subscribestar. Now on the plus side, Subscribestar is fast. That website, you scroll and it's quick going up or down. Whereas Patreon's like scroll, freeze, come back 10 minutes. It's still frozen. I mean, Patreon's very, they have so many bells and whistles that it makes it slow. And we really need the video library for that. But I need to do that for Subscribestar before I send anyone there. Let's see. Yeah, ma'am, I asked about the better mixing mediums with acrylics, and I really thank you for your acrylic painting videos because I can learn from your art techniques. Yeah, for acrylics, I don't usually use mediums. I just use water to thin it out. That's what I like. Annette said, yes, I found out that I had wheat intolerance about 5 years ago. I'm used to it now, though, but some people find it odd for some reason. Rachel said, you have to watch your hair and skin products, too. A lot of them have gluten. I lost my hair working in the salon. That's why I left. Whoa. I've not had any problems with that, but none of the stuff I use has had it in, so I don't check those super carefully, but nothing I use has ever had it, so probably because I already am I use glycerin soap because I'm super sensitive to, like, stuff makes me itchy, so nothing I use has had it in it yet. Wait, stop. Let's see. George says, strawberry looks great. I've got that one. I'm reading the same questions over and over again. Paul said, I used to have unnecessary fear in using oil paint because of what other people say about it, but it's actually simple and fun. Yep. It's kind of true of everything. I mean, anything that we're just like, I don't know a lot about it, so it scares me. Like starting to breed my fruit walks or wingless fruit flies for my frog. I was super like, I don't understand how to do this. I'm hesitant. I almost didn't get him because I was afraid of the whole, like, can I breed the flies? Like, how hard is this going to be? Some of the videos sounded super complicated, and it's so easy. It takes almost no time, like 5 minutes once a week. It takes nothing. So I'm really glad. Like, once you learn about it, and that's the case with most things, I think, it takes a lot of the scary out of it. I mean, there's an example I keep doing with fish, and anyone who keeps saltwater fish will know what I'm talking about. So there's a type of coral called a zoa, or zoanthids. They are one of the most toxic things. Actually, those and dart frogs are two of the most toxic things in the world. But the dart frogs only they're eating in the wild. But anyway, because I'm like, I don't know a whole lot about them and I'm terrified. And then you talk to somebody who has them and they're like, it's not as big of a deal as what people make it out. You know, you use certain precautions and it's no big deal. It seems like that's kind of the thing with everything. Can you please give me some tips on how to draw a really long and super short fur? I tried and I feel like it's fake and flat, and I feel like that, especially with the short one. You're not paying attention to your values. You dark enough, light's light enough. If I had to guess, because this is what most people do, you're focusing on detail and just making individual strands and not your values. Your values matter. Are your lights light enough? Your darks dark enough? Work in the clumps and shadows. Stop looking at his hair and look at it, or as fur, and look at it as abstract shapes. Copy your reference photo. Slow down and copy. I've got lots of videos that go over that. Watch those, but they're shapes and shadows. That's really what you want to focus on. So here, we'll come back through. These are just little final details while I wait for this to dry so I can go over it with the titanium white. I mean, I can sit here and fuss over this. Don't worry, moderators, don't kill me. I'm not really going to, but I could sit here and fuss over this for like another hour and make it look even better. These live streams, you know, we're limited because I'm chatting, but they give you an idea where we're focusing on our contrast. This isn't as smooth as I would like it blended, but whatever, we're good. Now here's a tip. This pencil right now, let's see if it'll do it. If I were to have just gone over that where I need to blend into white, I would have left a blue streak. I don't know if you can see those dots. It's not too bad, but that would have come out on my paper where I didn't want it. Watch when you're blending where you need something up against white paper like that. Clean that pencil off, and just by rubbing it onto another piece of paper, make sure no color has been picked up onto it. So I'm going to go now around that edge and just soften that out. And I am burnishing here and pushing pretty hard. Okay. And the last thing I was going to do, blue. I was going to take that light ultramarine blue and pull that into the shadow on this section. Why? Because it looks nice. It's something that I will typically do on most pieces, especially if there's that reflective look. I just love the look of a light blue in there. And this one's just light ultramarine blue. You can add that a little bit around the edges of the highlight there. Just some little details. See what I mean? I could seriously sit here for another hour and fuss over things. This sort of thing is this is a stage that I like, where you get to where it's like almost done, and these little things that you do, tiny little changes will make a huge difference. But that's where I'm going to leave that guy for today, because we are already running late. Slice tool demo, I already did that. I think you missed it. Let's see, when is a frog more toxic than OMS? LMAO, that's hilarious. Oh, the frog is way more toxic. Well, in the wild they would be. Those frogs, they're called poison dart frogs. They're like one of the most toxic things, like in the wild type thing. They're not poison in captivity, but yeah. I think we're caught up on questions. Thank you guys for joining. Make sure to, oh God, my brain started to say something and then it went out. Subscribe, hit the like button if you didn't already. I should have mentioned this before. Why don't I do that? If you want more live streams, whether it be real time or very slightly sped up, check out Patreon, patreon.com/Lachri. It's how I pay my bills. So you help me out too. But you've got a few different rewards there. I have over 200 videos. I think it's we're up to almost 300 now when I had to change all of the thumbnails. It's a lot of videos over there for you guys that you can, as soon as you sign up, $4, you get to watch any one of those. It's not the chat like this. It's more of a straightforward art lesson or demonstration. So yeah, that is it. Favorite X-Men character. Ooh. I don't know. The last movies I saw left a fairly terrible taste in my mouth. I don't know. I don't know that I have a favorite. Like, X-Men is not one of my favorites. I really do like Wolverine. I've always liked his character. Him and his daughter. Crap, what is his daughter's name? It's been a while since I read the comics. She was pretty cool. Though not the one from the movie. The movie was different. I actually didn't see that movie, but there was a X-Men comic that I have one that's like, my husband and I argue over whose comic it is. He bought them for me. It was crap. They were teenagers. Well, that's X-Men, of course they were. But, I forget. They were what was it? I don't know. Point is, that comic book is mine technically because he bought them for me. And now he claims they're his because they're worth quite a bit. They were from early 2000s, I think I got that one. But like as soon as I get off the live stream, I'm gonna remember the name. But anyway, I liked the girl that was supposed to kind of his daughter, kind of not. I don't know. It was a comic thing. Yeah, I think we're good. Thank you guys again so much. Oh, can you call this? I can make this look even better. Well, I can only dream of this outcome. Yeah, it's practice. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me today. How many times can I say that? Is that it? I think that's it. I'll see you guys Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central. We are going to be working on, what are we working on right now? What are we working on right now? I seriously don't remember. Oh, the bird, the owl. Oh, I need a nap. I got up way too early today. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to stop rambling. I will see you guys Wednesday for the owl at 8 p.m. Central Time. Bye. Oh, not yet. Check out our moderators' channels. Links are in the video description. They help us so much. Nick and Joseph both have awesome art channels. Definitely check them out. Okay, now seriously, I'm done. Bye.